Bum 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 ba na 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 na. There we go. I gotta not hum 3 seconds of a famous song. We're gonna get demonetized right off the bat one day. All right,
Yeah.
hello, welcome to Cheat Code Radio, episode number 27. I'm your host, Nicholas Downey. Thank you for joining us on another wonderful Monday evening, and I'm joined, as always, by the intrepid, the troll, the man of many seas in the world of Sea of Thieves, Mr. Ivan Seiler. How's it going tonight, sir?
Hey, doing fine. How about you, sir?
I am doing fantastic for a Monday.
Hey, it's a start. So, all right. So yes, we should probably get into some stuff. Let us know what you guys think of our new channel art. We just put that up there just a little while ago, so it's brand new and debuted. We'll be updating as time goes on and more games come into our purview. So, we'll go ahead and get started then. All right. So one thing I want to kind of get out of the way before we get too far. Did you see the update from the Supreme Court? And no, this is not Activision Blizzard related.
Oh no, I really
Ah,
try. I try to avoid U.S. politics as it is.
yep. So you remember a couple years ago where Epic was doing the whole situation with Apple
Yes.
and Google specifically, where they basically took Fortnite off of those platforms. Well, I say took, more Apple was the one who took them off. But more specifically, it was they were trying to find. Well, Epic was trying to find a way to have their own internal store and not have to give Apple 30%
Mm.
for doing nothing. So they one of the things that popped up because of this was that for those of you that are not aware, when you buy anything through the Apple or Google store, you are basically paying a marked up price so that Google and Apple can get their cut of whatever revenue comes in. So Epic had created a way, or basically they were advertising for you to buy directly from them as opposed to going through there, and they were giving you a discount. And it basically started a court case between Apple and Epic, and we learned some juicy stuff a couple years ago. But we had this thing's gone to the Supreme Court at this point. Uh,
Of
so
course it
the
has.
Supreme Court upheld the preliminary injunction by Apple, basically preventing Epic from circumventing the 30% rule for now. Some people took this and ran with it as saying like, "Oh, Apple officially won." No, they're just saying they're keeping the preliminary injunction that prevents Epic from reversing, what's been going on for the last few years. So nothing's happened right now. We'll see if the Supreme Court actually gets to hear about it. But I want to get that out of the way because it's a piece of information that did come up, and I don't think it actually did anything, but I feel like it spurred the motion for us to see more internal documents and stuff. This is where we learned about where Sony was charging people and other developers for crossplay.
Mm.
So we got to learn some really cool stuff from that. So anytime that ever comes up, I like to bring that back up just so we have a little bit of more information from that. So it's a fun little case. But yeah, nothing else beyond that to report.
I just feel like if you put Apple and Epic on an island and just do this court in an island and then sweep that island up in a storm and everyone disappears forever, we're all better off. Um,
Well, I mean, for me, I'm interested because if Epic wins this court case, if they ended up winning this would basically prevent Apple and Google from creating walled gardens. This would basically force Apple to allow other competing stores to exist on Apple products. So whether or not it's like an individual app, like, oh yeah, like if Microsoft wants, like that's the thing we've always heard about, that Microsoft wants to get into the mobile space.
mhm.
Like if Microsoft comes in and they could say, okay, cool, we're gonna take Candy Crush off the Apple store, and we're gonna put it on the Microsoft store, which you have to download separately. Apple would kind of be forced to have to allow that to be a possibility. and they wouldn't necessarily get a 30% cut of the download or the sale.
Right.
So this is interesting. It also affects the gaming sphere. Maybe not like maybe like immediately in terms of like, oh well, consoles have to allow other competing storefronts, but it does open the market, and this is part of the mobile sphere, which is something we do pay attention to. So just it's a fun little thing to keep track of.
Yeah,
no.
It'll be interesting to see how the mobile market shifts, because if Apple becomes less of a closed garden with the Apple Store, then it'll be interesting. Give consumers more options. It would definitely be the consumer friendly approach.
Yep. Yeah. So I know we're gonna get into some like the really big RPG topics. But one thing that's kind of an outlier. Have you been paying attention to the Modern Warfare 3 announcement at all?
Yes, very, very much so.
Fill us in on that real quick, because there's been some weird stuff going on around that, and I kind of want to get your attention.
So it's kind of this weird thing, because so it's Modern Warfare 3, and this is the first time that I think Call of Duty has ever gone back to back with one of these games. I feel like no, because I wasn't the original Modern Warfare trilogy. No, I'm saying, hold on. Were they rotating the games back in the Modern Warfare era? I'm trying to remember. Yeah, because they did like Modern Warfare, and then Black Ops, and then
because it was Treyarch and Infinity Ward only, and they were flipping back and forth.
Right. So they're bouncing back and forth. And, it's interesting to see what they're doing, because like today, Activision confirmed that the new Call of Duty game will be a premium release priced at $70. Even though, it was originally reportedly supposed to be only a major expansion rather than a full game. There's been some interesting pro-consumer moves that are making it even more confusing. Like they're saying like your gun progress will carry over for the same guns that are in Modern Warfare 2. So if there's gun crossovers in Modern Warfare 3, you'll carry over your progress from Modern Warfare 2 guns. Your operators carry over. And it just feels really weird, because they're saying they're telling you it's a premium, its own game, but there's so much crossover with it. I'm having a hard time believing them on that.
Yeah, not to mention crossover, but apparently it's going to be cross-gen as well still.
Yep.
So it's still going to be PS4, still going to be Xbox One, and I'm like, okay.
Well, it seems that, I'm not sure if it's because development costs are so high or the desire to make money is so high. It's probably a little bit of both. This piggybacks on the fact that, Respawn's going back to make Jedi Survivors available on last generation consoles.
That's so weird. Like the dependency on last gen consoles is so bizarre. Because wasn't it about this time we were giving up last gen consoles in the generation?
Well, so
we're like 2016.
We're like 4 years. We're about 4 years into it now. Like we're 3 years into it now. So you would have been at 2016. Cross-gen games were gone by 2016.
Yeah, like, because what was the last big one was like, I know it was Call of Duty, but
Advanced Warfare was the last cross-gen Call of Duty,
and that was 2015.
Yes.
So yeah.
So 2 years after, they dumped it because Ghost was cross-gen. What was after Ghost? Black Ops 3?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Advanced War... No, is it Advanced Warfare? After Ghosts? Yeah. Hold on. Call of Duty games.
Because Infinite Warfare was 2016.
Hold on. We going... Why would you not put them in order? That's so stupid. 2013 was Ghost, which was correct. 2014 was Advanced Warfare. So
2014 was Advanced Warfare.
Yeah, so by 2014 they ditched it. because 2015 was Black Ops. No, remember Black Ops 3 had a last gen version. Remember, it was that awful. Like it didn't have textures. It didn't.
Yeah, I remember that.
You,
Okay.
yeah, it ran like garbage. So 2015 was the cutoff, and they should have cut it off sooner.
Yep. Yeah, they should have done it sooner. But yeah, that was a weird time. But also, another thing too we've heard about is like supposedly it's not even going to have a campaign. You heard about this yet?
No.
Yeah, no. So the rumor going on right now is because they're saying that um, it's coming back in a different fashion and using that term, and so people are getting the impression there's not going to be a official campaign for this.
So my only pushback for that is the fact that they've been teasing Makarov all week.
Yeah, so the thought about it is that they're doing as well. I've heard a couple things. So one of the things that I've heard about is like think Titanfall 1 campaign.
Oh god.
That they're gonna make a mode for it and basically do what Overwatch does with its story. It's like, oh yeah, like it's bits and pieces like this map. We're gonna kind of give you a little more context before a battle.
No.
And it's just regular gameplay.
I can't see.
I've heard a lot of different stuff about what this is going to be exactly, but the one big thing has been that there's no traditional campaign.
I can't see them going back to that because the Modern Warfare series, like them bringing back the Modern Warfare series, was the big deal of bringing back the campaigns, and they've been applauded for bringing back the campaigns. I can't see them being dumb enough to do that because they got so much pushback with it. Like, the only reason people were okay with Black Ops 4 not having a campaign was because Black Ops 3 campaign was so damn terrible. That everyone's like, oh, at least we don't have to suffer through this. But I don't know. It's also really hard to get discernible, solid information about Call of Duty, mainly because Call of Duty leakers are some of the worst.
Yeah.
For accuracy. Like there's a couple of guys that I won't name and shame, but there's guys that literally just spout out random nonsense, and they're right sometimes because they get the obvious stuff. But like a lot of these rumors never have any weight to them. And I just can't see them going a full price premium game and then not having campaign stuff. Because even in the original leaks, the whole expansion was campaign expansions.
Yeah. It's weird. A very weird thing.
It'd be weird. I don't know what to say.
Like, I don't know what they're going to do exactly. So, I mean, yeah, it just feels really odd for them to do this. Like, I also wouldn't put it above Activision if they were like, hey, we don't really have a plan for this, but we're required to put out another game for shareholder investment and such, because that's what we agreed to. But then having them do it like how they treated Warzone, except find a way to charge people for Warzone.
Yeah.
Pay us $70 and you can bring all your old guns over too. Oh, look, it's amazing.
No, the big push from the multiplayer guys is the movement. Apparently the movement in this is a lot faster, so the slide canceling, Adderall snorting 16-year-olds that want to play Warzone competitively, but have 1.0 KDs and trash aim are getting really excited because apparently this one has faster movement. A lot of these Call of Duty nerds, you could sell them the same game with slide canceling on and they'd pay $70 for it. I just want to take a moment to appreciate the abusive cycle of Call of Duty, because I've always followed the golden model is the Call of Duty that's like 3 years before the current one is always the best one. And then the current one's always garbage. And then the one that was 2 years ago always gets slightly better. Because it's hilarious, because I'm seeing guys now be like, hey, yo, we messed up. Black Ops 3 was actually fire. And I'm like, shut up forever. I guarantee if I search your Twitter, you were talking about how trash it was when you played it originally. It's like, oh, Black Ops 3 and Black Ops 4 weren't even that bad, man. Like, they were great games. We got to the point where people were like, man, you know, Infinite Warfare's multiplayer wasn't that bad. I'm just like, shut up. Please. It's kind of like the Stockholm syndrome for Halo fans, where it's always, you know, the most recent one's the worst, and then it's not as bad as the next one. Like when Halo Infinite came out, people were like, you know, Halo 5 wasn't that bad because Infinite's trash. And I'm like, okay.
Dude, man, I don't know. This next Call of Duty, I just don't really care. Modern Warfare 2 got me in, and like I regret getting into it, but hey, whatever. We'll see. If it comes to Game Pass, great. But that's it.
See, I've emotionally unattached myself from it because I fell out of love with multiplayer, but fell in love with DMZ. And I know the moment Modern Warfare 3 comes out, they're backburnering DMZ so hard.
Yeah.
And I refuse to get emotionally attached to it, so I'm just gonna go play Tarkov and cry. Or maybe I'll play I'll play Hunt the Showdown. I'll find another extraction shooter to lose my life in.
Yeah, until Marathon comes out.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's basically the thing. Is like Marathon is the game I'm waiting for.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, what I wanted to ask, what are you doing prior to Starfield? Because there are 17 days until Starfield is playable.
Well,
so I'm a little excited.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out where, like, because I've kind of come to terms with the fact I am not beating Baldur's Gate 3 before Starfield comes out. I've hit the point where I'm like, oh my god, I knew this was going to be a big game, but crap, it's bigger than I expected. And the problem is no matter how long I've been waiting for Baldur's Gate, Starfield is like the game I've been super waiting for. So I'm kind of in this pickle where I'm like, am I going to be in a world where I'm playing both? And I think they're different enough that I'm kind of in a world where I'm okay playing both.
Yeah.
And
they are drastically different games. I mean, that's you could get away with it.
Like, yeah, it's going to take me twice as long to beat both because, you know, splitting my limited gaming time between the two. But with that being said, like, since I've got my ROG Ally, I've kind of been playing, like, a different game on my handheld versus what I sit down and play. So,
yeah.
You know, maybe it'll be like, you know, I'll be playing, you know, Baldur's Gate 3 on the Ally, and then I'll play Starfield while I'm at my Xbox. Like, you know. But yeah, no, it's like, it's this weird thing where I'm trying to find the balance of what I want to play before Starfield comes out, because I know that game's going to consume my time. And I imagine you're in a similar...
that problem. Yeah, that's been my thing. It's like, what are you playing prior to Starfield? Like, are you trying to play games similar to Starfield to build your hype, or are you trying to play games completely different?
Yeah, that kind of becomes the catch-22, right? Because, like, if you're waiting for Fallout 4 to release, you'd probably be pretty burned out on the formula if you played 3 before it came out.
Yeah. Like maybe if you play like just for a little bit, like beforehand, like, oh yeah, it's a day of release and it hasn't quite come out just yet, but I'm gonna play a little bit of 3 just beforehand so I can enjoy the jump 4. I mean, that would have been okay, but like if you were playing that, like, oh yeah, I'm binging it at 100% right beforehand. I know there's some people who they want to binge beforehand so they can appreciate the new thing more. I'm the exact opposite. I can't do that.
No, I can't play a similar game. I do what I call like a palate cleanser game. Yeah. Before something comes out. And for Xbox guys right now, they're kind of trying to kill some time before Starfield. I highly recommend Quake 2 as a palate cleanser before you play Starfield, because it's nothing similar. It's kind of sci-fi, style. So it's kind of, it's sci-fi, but it's nothing what Starfield's going to be like. So it's kind of, gets you in the sci-fi mood without, taking too much of it. Like, you definitely don't want to be like, hey, I'm going to play Mass Effect 3 before I play Starfield. Like,
nah. I like playing games that are similar because it creates unfair comparisons.
mm-hmm.
But like, oh man, like what are the things that you've known this about me for a long time is I absolutely hate if I'm playing a new game, if you start to get me thinking about like, oh man, what if the story took this direction? Or oh man, what if the game is like we did this instead? You've already failed.
Yeah.
Because you're making me think about what would make the game better.
Yep.
So it's like there's one thing like a speculation thing, like, oh my god, what if this mechanic was cool? This would be so awesome if it was in here. That's a little different. But like, if I start thinking about like, oh man, what if this guy was actually this guy or something like that? It'd be like, oh my god, like if you have me thinking like that, you're not keeping me engaged, which is a problem.
Yeah.
So, but no, for me, like I'm playing period piece historical type games. I'm doing the exact opposite. So I'm playing like Red Dead Redemption 2, Sea of Thieves, Chivalry 2. Like I'm playing the exact opposite.
Yeah.
But I'm watching stuff that's similar to Starfield. So I've been watching the Orville. I'm gonna watch like Star Trek First Contact a little bit. So I'm watching stuff to keep me like interested theme wise, but I'm also playing other games that are different.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just me. It was like when Fallout 76, but before that came out, I did the same thing. I played something entirely different.
Yeah. No, I'm very much similar because the last thing I want to do is feel burnt out on a type of game and then go in and try to enjoy it. It's even worse. What's even worse is I felt bad before because like I've reviewed games where I did like a big open world game and I review another big open world game and like the second one I review always gets a worse score because I'm like, oh my god, let me guess, another side quest. But like, yeah, it's definitely something you have to think about. But I think what's kind of great is like with Baldur's Gate 3 and like Starfield, there's not really anything like them. Like, yeah, you could go play Fallout 4 or something like Wasteland 3, which would be similar to those two games separately. But like, if you're rolling from Baldur's Gate 3 into Starfield, you're gonna be fine because it's two completely different games and styles and everything else, which is why I find the constant comparisons to them hilarious. Because there's nothing similar about the games other than the fact that they're role-playing games, and that's it.
Yeah, no. So just random thing. Sorry, I was looking at my phone for a minute. So it's random aside for a minute. Have you been paying attention to the Chainsaw Massacre game that's coming out like this week or next week? Next week,
vaguely.
Yeah, I'm immediately interested now because I'm seeing two drastically different review scores now for it. If I recall correctly, IGN gave it a 6, and now GameSpot's giving it a 9.
Huh?
I'm like, what? I love it when games have drastically different scores. Like it just means that like it may not be for everybody, but like there's something that really pissed somebody off, or something that someone really enjoyed.
Mm-hmm.
So I find that fun. I like when those games kind of do that. So there's a big variety of opinion. But yeah, no, I thought it was cool. But yeah, back to Starfield for a minute. But yeah, no, I'm interested in Starfield for a couple of reasons, and I've really tried to be quiet about it. Because look, I waited a long time for Starfield. Like you remember, I was talking about Starfield in like 2015, 2016. I was talking about it a long time ago. So,
yep.
Because like there was like, oh yeah, look, they just renewed the IP again. They just did another copyrighted trademark. It was like, oh yeah, okay. And like there was no concept behind it that we could like point to or like have any idea about. But I've been waiting for a while, but I've really tried to not set any expectations for what the game is going to be exactly. Like really, even like when they showed off the 45 minutes of gameplay at the Xbox event, I even kind of tried not to pay attention too much.
Mhm.
I like surprises. I like the enjoyment, and like it's funny because I always keep seeing these people talk about like, oh yeah, there's a there's not enough people are talking about Starfield. People, it's gonna fail. I'm like, do you want to bring out 2015, Ivan? I'll I'll bring back Facebook 2015, Ivan, for Wii Game here and shit. I will do it.
Oh
So
God.
I will annoy the shit out of people. So I'm trying not to, but if you want me to, oh, I'll have you people talking like I'm sick of people talking about Starfield.
See, it's funny to me because it's like everyone thinks like you constantly have to be talking about a game in order for it to be important. Um, and it's a really weird mentality because like I don't disagree that you need to market your games, have advertisements for your games, and whatever the case may be. But this whole idea that you need somebody hyping it up on social media 24/7 is just so to me. Because, like, how many games, like, I saw an indie developer chime in on this, and they said, social media impressions are great and everything else, but, like, it doesn't equal sales. They had 97,000 wish lists, and they only sold 8,000 copies. So you have tons of impressions, you have tons of social media attention, you have tons of people putting your game on a wish list, so it drives you up the algorithm. And then when launch day hits, not a lot of people picked up your game. So how does that work? Like, what's the discrepancy there? Like, where does that fall through? And I think what people don't seem to understand is like there's a casual buying audience that just buys what they're going to buy. And like that was the same thing. Like pre Baldur's Gate 3 releasing, I would say the hype for that game, while it was like decent amongst its fans, it wasn't to the point where it's at now. Like even the studio didn't think it was going to do as well as it did.
Hey, no, I think the Baldur's Gate situation is actually was excellent on their part because it's a win-win-win situation for them.
Yeah.
Like they can literally they can it gives them the chance to actually cultivate that audience in a way because you and I have talked about this too where I've been concerned about I don't know how Baldur's Gate is going to do on console necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
Like I knew it was going to be great on PC and like people were going to jump on board because that community's been there waiting and they've had the time to build that up. I mean, but this is the first time they've introduced it to console and I just don't know how people are going to react to that. So we'll see.
I think my biggest concern is because a lot of people that have played Baldur's Gate on console, I'm not sure if you're familiar with the series, but the console version that a lot of people are familiar with is, I think it's Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance, which was like a hack and slash Diablo-light version of Baldur's Gate. And a lot of console guys I see bring up that game as Baldur's Gate, and I'm like, oh boy, you go.
Yeah, people understand that like Baldur's Gate is a module, like a set of missions for D&D. Like that's what it is. Like it. So like I think it's hard for people to understand what the breakdown is of that means exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's fair. People not to understand, and I'm not sure they mean like that. They think Baldur's Gate is necessarily because that game was specifically called Dungeons and Dragons Dark Alliance.
Yeah. And that's the thing is like everyone always forgets, like even if you look back on the old game covers, it was like it's Baldur's Gate 2 Shadows of Amn, but in the top in tiny print is Dungeons and Dragons Baldur's Gate 2 Shadows of Amn. Like there's a certain lack of knowledge I think a lot of people have going into this, and like even someone as myself, like I've been covering this game and everything else. I didn't buy it in early access because I don't really do the early access thing for a single player game. I understand why Larian does it, but like it's just not for me. Um, but like I did not realize how much more D&D heavy this was than the original two. Like this is massively different than the first two.
Mm-hmm.
So like if you're a fan who liked 1 and 2 and just jump into this, you're going to be shocked at how different it is. And I think a lot of people are seeing like the cutscenes and everything else and thinking this is going to be like a Witcher 3 scenario. And I think they're going to be
what we're talking about. It was like I don't think Larian marketed it correctly for console people, because literally every time prior to this, like every event that they've had it at, every time they drop something, it's showing off cutscenes or like just random little nonsense.
Mhm.
It doesn't show like the day-to-day gameplay. And then when people saw it, like on the gameplay reveal trailer on the PlayStation YouTube page, it was like, what is this? So I mean, for me, I'm gonna play it because I love D&D. You know, I've been playing for years. I've been like forever DM. This is the closest I'm gonna get to be able to play on a regular basis. So I'm going for it.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing is like I don't necessarily think those types of games have been cultivated in the console market. I'm not specifically even talking the PlayStation market because it's launching on PlayStation first. I just mean in general on consoles, those types of RPGs haven't exactly been cultivated to the same degree as say your action RPGs or your shooter RPGs.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, if you're in the Xbox camp and you've played Wasteland 3, then you're a little bit more prepared. Like, if you've played Wasteland games or Bard's Tale games or even Pillars of Eternity, you're a little bit more prepared than a lot of people. But with that being said, I think with all the gameplay clips flowing around now, the gameplay trailer and everything else, people should know what they're getting into now.
Yeah, now. Yeah, definitely now people are going to be a little more prepared. Because I've seen this thing break into TikTok. I'm not a big TikTok person, but at least I wouldn't call myself that. But like I've seen it break into TikTok more, and like every time they show it, they're not showing any gameplay. Still, they're like, "Oh my god, look at this character, and I love this character. Look at this cutscene." It's like, okay, but like you just show what the game looks like at all.
Yeah.
So, like again, this is not to trash anyone's love of the game. Like I said, I'm gonna play it. I'm probably gonna enjoy it. I'm looking forward to it. It's just one of those things where I just don't know what it's gonna do console wise. I'm certain it's gonna sell at least 1 million units on PlayStation, at least that much. So like, I'm certain because of sheer hype and. But the benefit for Larian was they got to cater their PC base first, who waited for them. They're playing a month early. Then they get to benefit off the console war aspect of it. Like the PlayStation community is looking for some exclusive to get them something they could call an exclusive. Even though Larian actively came out and said it's not exclusive, don't call it that.
Yeah.
So they've said that specifically. Even though they've said that, like the PlayStation base can say that is what it is. They can feel better about it and they can hype it up. And so it benefits them in getting the name out there. So now it's more popular just because it's in the conversation amongst the console base. And so then you'll have like the PlayStation guys who are like, I'm gonna support an exclusive. I'm gonna buy it. So they go and buy it, and they play 20 minutes, get a couple clips, and they never play it again. So hey, that's a sale. And then you'll have the Xbox guys who will be busy with Starfield anyway. And PC guys who are going to be playing Starfield anyway. And the PC guys will have had a month to play Baldur's Gate 3 and maybe not be done with it, but in a position they can move on to something else. And so by the time like they work out whatever their deal is with the split screen situation, the Xbox base will have moved on from Starfield or be ready for something else. And they'll be like, hey, it's out now. And they'll be like, oh, I'm going to own the pony people. I'm going to buy it too. So, hey, it's a win-win-win situation for Larian. So I say go for it.
Well, and I think they definitively planned it out for themselves because it's like, you know, do you want to launch Baldur's Gate 3 against Starfield on PC? No, because you're cannibalizing each other's audience at that point. Like you're drawing a line
Well,
in
maybe
the sand.
different games, but
Yeah, but you know what I mean. Like your hardcore RPG fans are gonna go, huh, one or the other. Right now, they're not gonna do both. So you release a month early on PC, so you duck Starfield, and then you release on PlayStation the same day Starfield does. So all the PlayStation only guys that are looking for an RPG to play have you to play. It's a really, really smart tactic. Like they planned that down to a T.
yeah, listen, I think they did the best possible move they could do.
Yep.
I think it worked out in their favor, so go for it. Would not be surprised if it gets nominated for Game of the Year, if maybe not even win. It would totally fit Bethesda's curse, so they go right for it. So Bethesda's been cursed ever since what Obsidian to that their games can't get over an 84 on Metacritic. They're not allowed to, and also they will not win Game of the Year. And it will go to some Eastern European studio. So, like it's just a guarantee.
I feel like the competition for Game of the Year this year is the stiffest it's ever been, though. Like it really feels like outside of a few exceptions, it's been, you know, I hate to use the word, but it's been banger after banger after banger for a lot of people.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily saying for my tastes in particular, but for a lot of people, it's been game after game after game after game. So like, it's wild because it's like Dead Space remake came out this year. Hi-Fi Rush came out this year. Like it's so easy to forget the back or the front half of this year.
Yep. Hogwarts Legacy. Don't forget that one either.
Yep.
15 million copies is nothing to sneeze at.
Nope. That's insane.
Yeah. Then you had was it Legend of Zelda, Diablo 4? Jeez. Like it's about to get crazy, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's going to be a very interesting discussion for this year. But like I said, I think amongst all of them, it's probably going to be Baldur's Gate who gets Game of the Year overall.
As much as I love it, I don't see it beating Zelda because Zelda's friggin' Zelda.
Track record of exclusive sequels have not been good lately. So I mean, look at God of War Ragnarok.
Yeah, but you still have Spider-Man and Starfield too, and
Starfield's not an exclusive. Starfield is an exclusive, but it is not a sequel. So I mean, there's a chance, sure.
Yeah, I think Spider-Man is going to get the Horizon curse this year, where it's going to get nominated for a bunch of stuff and not win anything.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes.
I'm like very interested to see how that plays out.
Yeah, I saw a couple of things. I think it was the Game Awards Twitter account was tweeting out about like, oh yeah, nominate the best studio, and I was like, people were like, oh, Insomniac and Monolith. I was like, what?
Wait, what did Monolith put out?
I think they put out what did Monolith come out with? What did Monolith come out this year?
Nothing. Right?
Let's see. Sorry. Yeah, I don't know what they came out with this year, if anything. Like I said, I don't like everyone was just all over the place. I was like, what are you guys even talking about? Like, just stop. But no, I just don't. I don't. Insomniac's good, like definitely one of PlayStation's better studios, but I'm gonna be honest. Insomniac, they'll please it also come for me in the comments. Please let me know what you feel on this. But I'm gonna say Insomniac is not a studio that is designed to create the peak of artistic vision. I think what Insomniac does really well is refinement of gameplay and making things feel smooth. I think they have a really strong track record of creating a product that is fully fleshed out and is good to great on a whole. To put this in terms of numbers so people understand what I'm talking about, they're really good at making 8s, not 9s and 10s necessarily. So I just get that feeling from Insomniac. I mean, that's just over the years of their experience. They're very similar to Obsidian. I feel like Obsidian, they don't, as much as I love Obsidian and I love Fallout New Vegas and Grounded, and I'm probably gonna enjoy the shit out of Avowed, and I love Outer Worlds, and as much as I say that for them, I don't think they are the type of studio that it would create like award bait. Like, oh yeah, this is designed to check all the boxes, so you'll love us. This is not like a Naughty Dog situation where that's all they try to do. They try to go for the awards situation. I just don't get that feeling from them. But they are reliable. They pump out content, and they're very good at what they do. But I don't get the feeling that they're very interested in trying to make like a beautiful masterpiece necessarily. They want to make a game that's fun, that they would enjoy. That's all that matters. But that's my opinion, at least. So,
yeah,
speaking of scoring, what's your Metacritic prediction for Starfield, sir?
Let's see.
And rationale. We need rationale on this.
84.
That's the safest bet. Anyone who says 85 or higher.
Well, no. So hold on. My whole thing is whenever there's a massive RPG, I saw it with Final Fantasy 16. RPG is a strong word there. But whenever you have these big games, right? You'll always get that one review that's like 5 out of 10. And it's like, well, I'm just not a systems guy. And you're playing a systems-based game, right? And that inevitably happens with Bethesda games a lot, is like Bethesda's all about systems and how you interact with the world. And then you always have one dork who's reviewing it that's like, well, like the cinematics weren't that good and the story was kind of confusing and I didn't know where I needed to go. And it's like, okay. So I think that'll drag it down. And I don't know. I don't want to make any predictions on the quality of Starfield. But I have a feeling it'll be one of the better, if not the best, QA Bethesda games out the door. Because, like, it can't be worse than 76. But Fallout 4 out the door wasn't that bad. So, yeah. I don't know.
I think it's something similar. I think what they're going to end up doing is they're going to say it's the most polished Bethesda RPG at launch ever, and it's still going to have bugs.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's going to do anything for the score at all, because Bethesda bugs have never done anything for their scores. It's a feature. So I don't think that's going to be a problem. If I had to guess, it's going to be something about like, oh yeah, I'm going to like, there's all these other side planets, and they're either going to get complaints that it's like, oh, they don't point you in the right direction enough, or they point you in the right direction too much. Because that's going to be the hardest balance thing I can see, is like, okay, are you going to force me to go to like all the big planets that I have to go to for the story? Or are you just are you going to let me go like from jump, like where I can go wherever I want? So that's going to be the balance point. I don't know how they're going to handle that exactly, because, you know, like in Skyrim or wherever, it's like, all right, here's your playpen, go wherever you want. Like, you'll eventually get to the right place if you just walk around enough. But potentially in Starfield, that might not be the best idea. It's like, oh, no marker where I'm supposed to go? Okay.
Yeah.
Like, I've played the game for days and haven't even seen Constellation yet. So
Yeah.
it could be something like that. I think that's the part I always look at. I'm guessing 82. I always skew negative. So I always skew about 3 points negative more than where I think it's going to end up. So like I mean, I've done the same thing. I did the same thing for Hogwarts Legacy because I thought like, oh yeah, they're gonna harp on the politics angle. Like I don't know. I haven't played it, so I can't tell you.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's the biggest thing too, is like there's so many variables to what reviewers might pick up on, and honestly, it's like I'm kind of in this position where it's like specific reviewers, I value their opinions a lot higher than others. But like the Metacritic game is incredibly hard to predict unless you're BG, because apparently BG can predict every Metacritic for every game that comes out insanely close or bang on.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, Starfield's gonna be a catch of a roll. I feel more confident in a higher score because of how much we've seen of it. Like, I've never seen them roll out so much information about a Bethesda game pre-launch.
Yeah, I mean they're basically been telling us the timeline of this world already.
Yeah.
And I'm like, damn, like okay, like you're giving me a lot to work with here.
Yeah, but also I think it's good though, because like after 76, like earn some people back in, make people comfortable with what they're diving into, right?
Yeah.
But
yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, it'll be interesting. So I we'll see how that goes overall for the points, but yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with that. Anything else on Starfield? I don't know. Just
I am predicting that there will be at least 3 reviewers that complain that you can't have as much sex in Starfield as you do in Baldur's Gate 3.
So, also that is one point that's going to be very interesting, the Baldur's Gate effect. Because remember, okay, I know we talked about this very, very briefly, but there was this whole thing that where Destin Legary did an editorial piece for IGN, but they had talked about this actually last month, where a developer had come out and said, "Do not look at Baldur's Gate 3 as like the standard for anything for RPGs." It's like, do not look at it that way. It is the exception to the rule. And it created this whole thing about expectations for the games industry, which I thought was a very interesting discussion.
Mm-hmm.
Because the argument was like, oh, well, it's too polished. Like, there's so much content to it. People shouldn't go out here thinking that's the case because there's money, and like we got to worry about like not like having return investment. We got to have like microtransactions, battle passes, stuff like that. A lot of people were talking about that. And so it's kind of created this discussion of like, what is an acceptable amount for an RPG to have versus not have? And so the question I kind of have on my mind is, what do you do for the first RPG to come out after Baldur's Gate? Because of the first one that comes out, I mean, in Starfield, like I say, there's always that chance of like Starfield might be perfectly fine.
Mm-hmm.
Where like, oh yeah, there's so much content here, it's ambitious, it's able to get away with that sort of thing. But like another game coming out, they just totally panned.
Yeah, like you start thinking it's not like I've seen people be like, well, with the success of Baldur's Gate 3, how is Starfield gonna be successful? And I'm like, okay, let's just stop that conversation. Like, I know it's been a while since Bethesda's launched a big RPG, but y'all don't understand like how big this is gonna be. But with all that being said, like, imagine launching an RPG in like mid-September after people have been playing Baldur's Gate 3 and Starfield.
Be like, ooh, not great. Like, so here's like some games that are like some of the RPGs that are coming out next. So, or RPG lights or whatever you want to call them. Lords of the Fallen comes out in October. Yeah.
It's a Souls like, so it'll survive.
Yeah, we'll see. Super Mario RPG. They could find out. That's November. And what else is there? We got like a whole list of stuff. These coming out soon. But then you have like the ones that don't have any known release dates exactly. So I mean, like, you know, the next Mass Effect, where it's gonna be like, oh, yeah, you know, sorry, it's not like this hundreds of hours long campaign or anything like that. It's just a game, and we're gonna nickel and dime you because it's EA. So it's like, huh. But yeah, I think it also goes back to that point. How much are they charging you for Baldur's Gate again?
$79.99.
Oh yeah, that's Canada money. What is it? What's the cost? Baldur's Gate 3 PS5 cost. Yeah, they're charging $70.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're charging $70 US for Baldur's Gate 3. Because this has been the one discussion. Like this is the reason why I was so adamantly against this price increase to $70 was because I also still firmly believe this, that the price adjustment isn't anything to do with content. It's strictly just we want to get more money. We didn't do it last generation. We need to get more money out per game, and we're not going to change any of our plans or anything. Like, we're still going to nickel and dime you and still do microtransactions and everything else. And Baldur's Gate, they're doing it for the same amount. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But I think it's like, you know, it's one of the situations where this is an exception, at least in terms of the microtransaction thing, because everyone else is going to find a way anyway. So,
yeah, I think too. It's like, it's funny because I saw comparisons, and like there's obviously idiotic statements made on both sides of this argument in terms of developers feeling scared, or, you know, on both sides of the argument there's some stupidity happening. But like, isn't the whole point of something being groundbreaking the fact that it sets the bar higher? Like, isn't that the whole point of capitalism, is competition? Like, isn't the whole point of why you do this to push your performance to as best as you can?
It should be.
It should, like, and like, I'm sorry, like, there's no world where I believe, you know, battle passes, microtransactions, or any of that stuff is going to fund better lives for the people that make games. All it does is line executive pockets. Because game salaries haven't gone up, but the game prices sure as hell have. I'm paying $105 per game after taxes right now. And does every game need to be a 700 ending massive Baldur's Gate 3 juggernaut? Absolutely not. But with that being said, give me my $70 worth.
Mm-hmm.
And whether that's in terms of interesting gameplay or anything else, like, do not sell me a $70 shell game to then sell me DLCs and microtransactions and battle passes. And like, I find Diablo 4 so uninteresting because it's just a microtransaction vehicle for Blizzard.
Yep. I mean, that's what Overwatch is.
Yeah, and they don't even do it right. Like, Overwatch 2 monetization is so bad, I want loot boxes back.
Yeah. Like, I feel like that was a mistake to go against, because like loot boxes I felt like were something that people could actively prevent themselves from doing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh yeah, there's no guarantee I'm going to get this item. I've seen the rest of the store. There's really no chance I'm going to get exactly what I want. I might get one every once in a while, but I'm not going to spend money on a regular basis. But then, like, I've looked at how much money I spent on Fortnite. I feel terrible. I'm like, I can't believe I spent like the money because I know I was directly going to get something I absolutely wanted, and I feel I spent more money because of that.
Mm-hmm.
And like, but Overwatch, yeah, they totally screw the pooch on that, because it's like $20 for one skin for one character, and it's like, what? I'm not doing that. I used to get these for free,
Yeah.
like just for leveling up, and I don't even get those anymore.
Yeah, and see that's the wild thing to me, because like I played all of Overwatch. Like when I bought Overwatch, I bought it at launch, so they got my full $60, and I played that game for hundreds of hours, and I never spent a damn penny. And then when Overwatch 2 came out, I didn't spend a damn penny either. I just went,
Nope.
oh wow, the reward system sucks. I no longer get cool rewards for not spending money.
Yeah, I mean, dude, Overwatch literally pissed the bed so bad. They have gotten to the point now where they are the lowest, is it the lowest rating of any game in Steam history right now. But that is so sad. And like Overwatch, like I enjoyed the shit out of Overwatch. Like, you know me, I played Overwatch to death. And like the thing was, I felt bad because I never even bought the game initially. I bought the game in 2020 just so I could say I supported it. Like that was it. Like I felt so bad because I was like, I spent hundreds, almost 1,000 hours playing Overwatch, and I never spent any money on it whatsoever. And I was like, I should give them something. I should give them something for my time. Like I should at least do something. And I felt, like I said, I felt bad about it, so I bought the game. But dude, like this is so bad. So like the Catalyst event, which started the whole discussion, was they came out with the story content just now. They just came out with it, and they're charging you $15 to play it.
Jeez.
And here's the worst part. Do you remember the archive events that they used to do? They came out like around April-ish of the year, where they would do like flashback stuff, like, oh, play as young Reinhardt.
Oh yeah.
Or
yeah.
oh, like play as a younger version of somebody else during like a major event. And you could pick between like 4 characters. It was like a preset thing, and you were like 4 different characters, and you would do a mission where it was like, oh yeah, I got to go to this point, and I got to go save this thing, or I got to kill these Omnics, I got to do this, got to do that. Like you do these little events, and it was just PvE content, and that's what it was. That is all these story missions are. The only difference, though, is that it's not pick between 4 characters, it's pick 1 character. And you do it once and you're done. It's like, yeah, you can go back and do them at higher levels, I guess, but it's only 4 missions for $15. Like, why? Why would I do this?
There's so much I would love. I don't know if I need a no-clip documentary or if I need like 6 Jason Schreier articles. But I need to know what happened between Overwatch 1 and 2. Because
I mean, we know a little bit. We know Jeff Kaplan left, who was the creative director. And so, I mean, the vision was gone at that point. I firmly believe that. And I guess part of it, you could say, like, you could say the pandemic had an effect on it too. Like they had a plan of what they wanted to do, but then they didn't do it. Mm-hmm. Like, was it a pivot for that? Was it a pivot because they were trying to sell the company? Like what? Like what is it? What was the point? I would love to see something.
Yeah.
But my firm belief of what I would love for it to happen, I know it's not going to happen, but I would love for the first thing that happens that when Microsoft completes this purchase, fire everybody on that team, start completely fresh, because they can't make it any worse.
Yeah,
Like it literally can't get any worse.
They got to figure out a way to engage people with that game because, like, even like hardcore Overwatch people, like Shogun, for example, are done. Like Shogun Shogun held on to that game way longer than the rest of us did.
Yeah. Like the one thing that would definitely help, and actually I don't know if they could even do it technically, is if they brought back loot boxes for level ups, and that's it. So say, hey, free random thing for a level up. People would do it.
No, you know what would make Overwatch 2 instantly want me to actually boot it up and play it?
What?
6v6.
Ooh. Yeah.
5v5 sucks. Roll queue sucks.
Yeah. Or roll queue would not be that bad if they didn't limit you on like the number of people you can have. Like if they said, okay, you can have 2 tanks, 2 healers, 2 DPS, fine. I'm good with that. But like it'll have some level of competency. Like, oh, somebody has to play healer. Somebody has to play at least 1 tank.
Because like roll queue sucked because if you were solo queuing and you picked DPS, you basically sat in queue for 8 minutes. And then if you queued healer, yeah, you got to play healer, but you had to play healer for an idiotic team the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
So like, unless you had a full team, it was just miserable.
Yeah. But yeah, just do something like that. That would help so much. But I said so I know at least the 5v5 stuff, that was them trying to appeal to the Overwatch League, which I think is getting dissolved. Mm-hmm. So it's like, why are we even bothering trying to keep them? So it was fun while it lasted, but like if we're not bothering trying to keep them alive, like why are we doing this at all? Like just go back to 6v6 like everyone else wants. So I don't know. That's my whole thing. So yeah, I want to ask you, Nick.
Mm-hmm.
What's the deal with this Baldur's gatekeeping? What's the deal? What's going on, man? Why can't people just talk about Baldur's Gate? What's wrong with you?
Listen, I did not realize that asking people for knowledge to have knowledge on things before they talk about them was gatekeeping. But yeah, apparently I'm a gatekeeper, and I'm kind of okay with this. So what this has to do with, and this is not, I want to reinforce this because once again, 240 characters on Twitter is just not enough to express full opinions. I want to clarify that my tweet had absolutely nothing to do with people playing Baldur's Gate 3 for the first time and doing video impressions or having podcast impressions after playing Baldur's Gate 3 for the first time. I love watching people experience the franchise for the first time, whether it's the old games or the new game or whatever the case may be. I definitely do not think that you should not have a voice if you're playing it and enjoying it. My problem inherently is people that I know who brag about how good their PCs are, they're hyping up Baldur's Gate, aren't playing it right now on their PCs but are waiting for a console release, but they're still talking about the game like they have firsthand knowledge of it. That's stupid to me. Like I've been on the receiving end of, integrity conversations all the time. If you write in games media, your integrity is always questioned. Did you actually play it? Did you play it till the end? How many hours did you put into it? How much side content did you complete? How much of this? All these questions are always asked, and you always have to be willing to answer them. Mm-hmm. But influencer made podcasts with, and I use the term creators loosely, Because like if all you do is hop in a call once a week, I don't really define that as creating, but that's a different conversation that I'd get lynched for. I think it's a lot more podcasting's a lot more complicated than it used to be. Back in the Google Hangouts era, it was the laziest content you could do, and you can fight me about that all you want, but like Google
no, there's nothing to fight you about. It was the laziest thing. You literally just went to the app, clicked go live, and then sent links to the people you wanted to join. That was it. It was recorded and posted for you. You did nothing.
Yeah. So I think inherently podcasting's gotten a lot more tougher than it was, back in that era. But that's what infuriates me more is because you have put more effort into it and you don't put effort into finding people knowledgeable about the stuff you're talking about. And that drives me crazy because there are several people. Like, I'm not saying they're going, well, people should invite me. Nah, I'm not a great candidate to talk about games. Like, I am not a very free flowy, charismatic type person. But there's tons of people that have knowledge on this game that are playing this game right now that could talk coherently about this game. But no, you just get guys that sound like broken marketing and PR machines, and it's especially annoying to me when there's people with the right information right there. Like, you're talking about, oh, this is the part of the game so great, and da 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 da. And I'm sitting there listening to it. I'm like, you don't even know what you're talking about. I'm playing the game right now. Like, it's one thing when people get early copies and you can't call them out on bullshit because you haven't played it. But it's like, this is a game that's been available to the general population for 2 weeks now. Like, I know you're full of shit. And that's what especially bugs me is people platforming people who don't put effort into it. It's so hard to get a platform, and yet there seems to be so many people that have no problem giving platforms to people that have no business being platformed.
Yeah. See, I when it comes to gatekeeping as a general concept, I don't think we should limit people from being able to talk about a certain subject, but I do think that we need to qualify what you're saying. So, like, here's an example. When we talk about Final Fantasy, I've never played Final Fantasy except for Final Fantasy 15, and I played maybe 10 hours of it. Just, it wasn't for me, didn't care. So as a general rule, I don't say it sucks or it's garbage or something like that, or I pretend to have any like immense, vast knowledge about it. But I normally will qualify it saying, hey, I'm not a Final Fantasy guy. I didn't like 15. I thought it was bad, but that's my opinion because that's the one I've played. And I will normally qualify my statements. I think we should have a option here where we do point out saying, hey, this individual who is claiming to be an expert has not played this, or they've only played like this amount of time. So I think that's one thing that we need to do as a whole. But as I've said, and let me get up on my soapbox here, I'm a firm believer that trophies and achievements should be entirely public for people in our community. Specifically, if you have a public platform where you are trying to, push yourself and put yourself out there, you should have your trophies and achievements public. Because at that point, I mean, the only people who don't do that were like Crap Gamer and them from back then, because they didn't want people to prove that they never actually played any of these games or stole content from other people because they never actually played these. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, that was a thing we worried about back then. And I always remember that because it's just the easiest way to do it. And like, I understand people get like really paranoid, like, what if I get doxxed? And no one has ever doxed me at any point because I don't say anything stupid. At least not like that. I say a lot of stupid stuff, but I don't say anything personal. Or that people would actually like, you want to kill me over or something like that. So you just don't do that. It's a pretty basic thing to do. If you don't say anything stupid, you have nothing to worry about. So I don't know. At least that's me personally. It'd be a lot easier if we all just say, made our achievements public like they are by default.
Yep. See, my parting advice for people is this: know the difference between a game reviewer and a game influencer. Know the difference.
Yeah, look at the chair they're sitting in. That'll tell you.
There's a vast difference. Don't say that, because if I have a Starfield chair next month, I don't want to hear it.
Oh, dude, I'm totally pointing that out. If you have a Starfield chair, which by the way looks really clean, I love that. That looks so good. But if you have that, I'm pointing it out at every opportunity.
Here's just my final spiel on all of it. Is just there's a difference between game reviewers and influencers. I've been a game reviewer since 2018. I think is my first published review. I've done really good reviews where I've given 9s, and I've done reviews that have gotten 3s. I've never lost access for giving a truthful review. But I don't take money either for, I don't have a hashtag ad or anything like that in anything I publish. People need to disclose this stuff. Some people don't disclose it, and it's shaky and everything else. But just know who you're listening to. Listen to, are you listening to an influencer? Are they just really up on everything for a specific brand? Do they just not have a, critical bone in their body, so to speak? Like, it's blatantly obvious to me of people who are reviewers and people that are influencers. And I don't inherently think there's anything wrong with influencers. It's just don't pretend like you have valuable input. Like, I'm sorry, if you're an influencer, I'm not taking your... Oh, yeah, Xbox Game Pass is great. I just got 3 years of it plus a Samsung phone for xCloud. Uh-huh.
Jeez.
Okay, it's just my thing. And like I said, it's no disrespect to anyone that's worked hard to become an influencer. I have no doubt that there are challenging roads ahead for that. But, like, just know where the dollar falls. That's all I say to people.
Yep. Know where the dollar falls. Know who your PlayStation playmakers are, and you'll be okay. So anyway, anything else you want to cover, Nick?
No, I'm good. I'm good now.
All right. Okay. What are you playing this week, dude? What do you anticipate you're gonna be playing to spending most of your time on this week?
Finishing the expansion on Quake 2. Playing it on Xbox this time versus Steam for those good old achievements. But yeah, playing the new chapter that was developed by Machine Games, really, really, really good. So really enjoying that, and probably more Baldur's Gate 3. And probably gonna throw a shooter in there. I feel I got an itch for like a shooter to play or something. I just don't know what I'm gonna play yet.
Mm-hmm.
What about you?
Probably more Sea of Thieves. We found a really fun way. Okay, so this is just a random thing. So Sea of Thieves added something called Captaincy.
Okay.
Which is like something they didn't have before. So like one of the things you could spend money on now is what they call Captaincy. And it's like, and forgive me if I say the prices here, but like if you save like 250,000 gold, you can buy a captaincy for a sloop, 350 for a brig, and then 500,000 for a galleon. This is where you can name your ship. That when people look at your ship, it will have a pop-up that has like the name of the ship, and it's like a whole cinematic thing. You get commendations, you get extra gold, you get perks. So like you can do like little cosmetic things, like put little trinkets around your ship. You can decorate it in a special way. You can unlock like different beds and like curtains and random stuff. They give you a lot of things you can actually customize that you are you wouldn't get normally. The way they justify is like, oh well, the ship that you get when you start is a rental ship. You could do some like cursory customization stuff, but if you buy your own ship, like you maintain the damage. So like if you played on like a really rough night and your ship got like almost completely destroyed, you can, when you load in the next time, the damage is still there. So it's like, okay, this follows you and you can pay to repair it, but it's your ship from now on. It's like, oh, okay. There's penalties now. Like I got to be careful. I can't just go sinking my ship randomly. So it's interesting. It's like, okay. But yeah, so we found a really fun way for you to like get a good chunk of money. Like in a period of like an hour, maybe an hour and a half, we made like 100,000 gold. So it's a pretty lucrative way. But I know I've been playing that a lot. But yeah, the captaincy thing has just been a fun change, and it gives you like a purpose again, outside of just leveling up and getting cosmetics. It gives you a purpose to play. And it's like, oh, there's commendations you can get, which will unlock new different things for you to customize. Sea of Thieves has really come a very long way. So it's been enjoyable. I've been playing that a lot. And then Red Dead Redemption 2 when I'm just playing solo. So
nice.
That's what I've been playing.
Right on.
All right.
Any closing thoughts?
Stay tuned for more Starfield hype. I'm going to be posting that on a daily basis now. So
right on.
Well,
yeah, no, yeah, another good episode. A little bit more free flowing, but it worked really well though.
Yeah.
So thanks once again for everyone who joined us tonight. A absolutely great episode. Thanks for everyone who stopped by live. Thanks to everyone who stops by and checks out the recording. Don't forget to drop a like and, make sure you subscribe so you stay up to date on our latest stuff. And appreciate any likes, shares on social media, as it helps us fight the ever, painstaking algorithm that pushes you to the bottom. Especially as we continue to consistently come every pause at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every Monday. Ivan, if people want to find you, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter, now known as X, or you can find me on Threads at AnchormanV2. You can hit me up on Xbox or whatever. Don't bother me on Fortnite, goddammit. Leave me alone. Like, I don't even know half these people, and they just pop in like when we're playing. I hate that. It's so annoying. So don't do that, please.
Looks like I'm gonna go reinstall Fortnite. And yeah, I am Nicholas Downey. You can find me on Nicholas CC Radio on Threads and on X. God, that just does not roll off the tongue at all. I hate it here. But yeah, thanks for everyone tuning in. We go live every Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we'll see you guys next week with another episode, which will be episode number 28. Bye for now.
See you.